Hey guys, today we have a loot haul from the local lake, and so I found some really big catfish bones, and so we are going to be reassembling the skull and getting some extra pieces to fill in the missing pieces, and so we're going to create an entire blue catfish skull. So first let's look at what we got. So here we have, and there's actually two catfish skulls here. Oh, we got some dermestid beetles. Interesting. That's actually a good thing, I guess. And the problem is it was tangled up in fishing line too, which is how it was even on the shore in the first place. So basically what happened was we had, so at the lake there is a swimming area and there's a fishing area. And the skull I found was right on the shore next to the swimming area. And so that means there was a massive catfish possibly swimming in there with people at one point. And so what happened was some guy cast out his line and got it snagged on the skull here, and that's why this is in here, because I haven't had a chance to cut it yet. But got it snagged in here, dragged it back to the shore thinking it was probably just a stick. Then he left it, so lucky me. There's still quite a bit of teeth on here. Not too many though, but yeah. The only problem is getting it untangled from the fishing line because I put both skulls in here. But anyway, that's part of one skull, part of the small skull. This is part of the small skull, at least I think so. This is too. So here we have one of the fin spines and part of the chin piece, I guess. I don't know what to call it, by the gills. Here is the top of the skull. Now this one is actually a flathead, and you can tell by this piece up here, it's still covered in a bunch of skin. But channel catfish have a much smaller one. And it has some teeth in there too. Cool. And then we got the one in here is a blue catfish. There's still a few more pieces of the smaller one. Here is one of the eye plates, and I only had one of them. I couldn't find the second one, and the flash went out because my device is overheating, so hopefully this still works as well. Problem is I can't really see. Here we have the second one of the gill raker pieces with the fin. And I wonder if there's anything else for this one. Maybe not. There might not be anything else for the small one. Anyway, if I can get this open here. The problem is it's a Walmart bag and it's annoying like this. So we are going to have to measure this out to know the exact size of the catfish. We can make an estimate based on the fact that with most North American catfish, their total body length is 5.5 times the length of their skull. Well, this one bone. So, and then actually we have this vertebrae here, which is actually about the same size as a cow's vertebrae. So think about that. That is how massive this fish is. So this is the first vertebrae here, goes directly behind the skull. And yeah, this is the size of a cow's vertebrae. Then we have, this is the fin spine that I ripped out of it. Oh, and the whole skeleton wasn't there on the shore because, like I say, it was snagged and dragged in from underwater. So I have no clue where the rest of the skeleton is, but we have the first like 2 feet of it was on the shore. So we got the fin spine, and look at this. This is massive. I have a ruler here. We'll measure it. So this is actually almost 6 inches. This is a 6-inch fin spine. Still has a bit of skin on it. Then we have, let's just pull the skull out of here. Problem is, yeah, all the fishing line is tangled in it. Let me pause this. So we do actually have some ribs of the smaller catfish that I found in there. So these are the next 3, I'm pretty sure, after the first big one, but I don't know for sure. I'll know for sure when I'm putting it together. And then we have, this is part of the jawbone of the catfish. At least I think so. Once again, once I'm starting to put it together, we'll see. So I'll put that over with this one. And then this is another piece of the jaw. Might be of the same side here. I don't know if these two go together in some way. Then we have this, which is still covered in fishing line. This one is almost free of it. Okay, got it free. So here it is. This is massive. We'll put it next to the ruler. So I guess the best way is to flip it upside down to measure. And we'll turn it sideways. It is actually, and that is all the way at the front. It's just a bad angle, but I can, yeah. Anyway, so the very last spine here goes to nearly 11 inches. So if we take that into account, that it should be 5.5 times the length of this bone alone, then we multiply 11 times 5 is 55, and then we add another 5.5. So that makes this a 60.5 inch fish. So, and that's approximate, that's not exact, but this certainly could be 5 feet long. Like, this is a monster fish here. This is the biggest catfish skull I've ever seen in person. I've certainly seen some images of larger ones, like obviously larger species like Mekong giant catfish, but this is a monster catfish skull. And so we have this, yeah, this is massive. So, and then this other piece here, I have the bottom jaw, which we need to measure the width, and it has I think some skin right here. So I'm going to pause it and cut the line off of it, and then we'll look at it again in depth. Okay, it's untangled. So here we have a bit of bone. We have the other piece of this. So I actually have both of these. There's some more bones. You can see that there. Here's a whole bunch of skin. Tons of skin, so I'm going to have to get rid of that. So we just have the skull, and then we got to piece this together. Then here we go. This is the one of the gill rakers. So here's the big one, and then let's see. Here is the small one of this guy. So here's the comparison. You can see the fin spine there. So we have this, and this fits in right about here. So here we have the entire fin piece coming off here, and there's part of the head, and that fits in perfectly. And then we have the bottom jaw here. It's broken on the right side, but here we have the bottom jaw. So then to get a width estimate, we line this up right about there and there. So when the jaw was intact, that would be about 8.5 inches coming over. I moved it. Coming over right about here. So, and then we have, if we count the open space, we have 6.5 inches, which if my foot was straight out like this and I wasn't wearing shoes, so let's say I was swimming, like paddling in the water, and this decided to latch onto my foot, it could easily pull me under, or like if I was noodling, my entire arm could fit in its mouth. And keep in mind, this was found in the swimming area. So just imagine this 5-foot catfish swimming around with people in the shallow water. I mean, the deepest it goes is like 8 feet in the swimming area, but still, it's like connected to the rest of the lake. Just like they just tell you not to swim out too far. But anyway, so imagine this 5-foot catfish in there with all these people. But yeah, and we have a total kind of, here's the head, so this would be up here somewhat. Of course, it needs greatly modified to get the rest of the pieces, but we have, I can put this on top, I guess. Yeah. And there we go. So this is massive. This is the biggest catfish skull I've ever seen in person, like I said before. And it's my 3rd largest skull I own, at least somewhat complete, because I have like bison skulls, but they're missing the front half of the skull. They just have the horns and part of the head. But anyway, the ones I'm counting are my 2 cow skulls that are complete. But after the cow skulls, this is the biggest. And then, like I say, this is the same size as a cow's vertebrae, which I do have some cow vertebrae too. But yeah, that is massive. So then this actually attaches on here. Somewhat, let's see, I'd go like this. So this attaches on somewhat like this. Not perfectly, but you get the idea. Unless it, does it go this way? It might go this way. I'll have to research that before I put it together, but anyway, so then this is the first vertebrae, so that already puts it over a foot long. And then we would have this piece, which goes on this side, which I know that because we have to have the spine coming out of it. So then this goes like this and goes pretty much up with the jaw, somewhat like that. And then we have the fin spine, which locks in there. And then we have this piece, which is part of the other gill raker, I think. Yeah, it's part of the other one. So then that goes on this side. Yes. Somewhat like that. And then we have this, which goes underneath the bottom jaw, like in this area underneath the top part, and like in between this and back here. Then we have the other one of these, which goes on the opposite side here. And then basically we have a 5-foot catfish skull. Well, the skull of a 5-foot catfish. So that's massive. So the next thing we need to do is, well, it smells, I mean, it's not too bad, but I got to get the skin off. I'm going to paint over it with white, which I wish I had a more natural color than just pure white. But the paint is going to basically cover up the smell. I don't have the resources to do bleach and everything like that. But we're going to paint it white. That will cover up the smell. I mean, first we have to clean it too. Then I'm going to make replacement parts for the pieces I'm missing. So we need the entire cheek pieces that go here, like this. So just imagine, if you will, one of these that goes here, but much, much, much larger. So, and that will go from here all the way to here. So that covers up this whole area. And then, so what I'm gonna do, my 3D printer does not work because they never shipped the right pieces to actually build it, which is kind of dumb considering it was a sealed box. And the replacement part, it's not possible to get replacement parts unless you take apart someone else's 3D printer. So we'd basically have to buy a brand new one to get the right piece. But anyway, so I don't have a 3D printer, and my best option that is non-breakable would actually be cardboard, which is actually kind of convenient. You know, if I drop this, it's low chance of breaking, at least if I drop it on the carpet. Cardboard has 0 chance of breaking when you drop it. So I'm going to, and it's actually easy to cut into. So I'm gonna use my box cutter and cut pieces for both of these. I'm going to finish off the gill raker on this side, get a second catfish spine for the fin, well, second fin spine, and then we're gonna get another fin spine for here. And then, even though I guess it won't be perfectly accurate because the fin's way farther back on a blue catfish. Anyway, and then we need the pieces that go in here underneath, which is more part of the gill rakers. And let's see, is there anything I'm missing? Here's the smaller one. Yeah, I don't know, but anyway, here's the top of the skull for the small one. And you can see that. Now this catfish would be like 2.5 foot. So we can compare this here. Yeah. And that's just, yeah. Just wow. But yeah, you can get an idea of the size of this thing. That is a massive catfish. So anyway, I'm going to pause the video, and then I'm going to start with the painting process. And let's hope I have enough white paint. This is what I got. So I don't know if that's enough, but hopefully it will be. So basically, what I'm gonna do is just paint all of the bones white, and we'll give it an hour to dry, or depending on how fast it dries, I don't know. But anyway, and then we'll have to flip it over and do the paint again on the bottom side. But if we're doing all this, it should take about 2 hours or so to get all of the paint done and dry. And then the next step is to get the cardboard pieces and paint those as well. And then we will glue it together. And this is going to be a really fun project. Yeah, it's looking awesome. So this is going to be really cool. Here's my 8-inch hand compared to the skull. It's just, yeah, this is a massive catfish. World record contender right here. Don't know about weight-wise. Wouldn't weigh as much as the world record, but certainly the skull is, yeah, this is massive. And this was in Kansas. Anyway, so yeah, I'll get to it. We're going to start the painting process and making cardboard while the paint dries. Okay, guys, as you can see, I've painted some parts of it, most of the bone. There's still, I didn't get the undersides yet, and I haven't finished some of the other pieces. And then I cut all of the cardboard pieces out for the body parts. And so all of the cardboard pieces need painted, as well as the bottom, the underside of the bone. And of course I need more paint. I ran out of white paint. Anyway, you can see there's a whole skull roughly put together. Of course, once it's glued, it's going to look much better, and the pieces are going to be actually in the right spot. Right now, they're kind of just like on top of each other, not perfectly how they should be. But yeah, once I get it glued, it should look like a normal catfish skull. And of course, with the paint too, that'll make it look much better. Yeah. And then after that is done, after the painting is done and the gluing, then we will have the final product. And as you can see, this now with the first spine is over 1.5 feet, and that is a really big catfish. So anyway, guys, I'll pause the video again and get to gluing it together. Okay, guys, so we have all of the bones and replacement parts painted now, so they are all white. So after they dry, a lot of them already are, none of these are. Most of the bones are dry though. After they dry, we will be able to glue them together and get them into the correct positions of the skull, and then we will have a Very large catfish skull. And I'm pretty sure the total length, counting that vertebrae and the fin spine, probably at least, I want to say like 16 inches. Pretty big for a head. Yeah. So now we will cut to the gluing. Okay guys, here we have the 3 fin spines, the pieces where the fins attach on, some eyepieces, and then here I have glued the entire bottom jaw and gill rakers piece on, which sadly consists of only 2 bones out of all of these. And I only have 7 actual bones and 13 artificial parts. And then here we have the entire skull piece and the first vertebrae, which are also glued together now. So then this basically rests on top here, and then we attach all the other pieces on. So I'm going to get to that now and then get started on the rest. And here we have the final product. So this is absolutely massive. We have a humongous catfish skull. Now, if you saw this, you might think it was from like a red-tailed catfish or something like that because it's so massive. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to actually have some fun and trace out an outline with chalk on the sidewalk and basically redesign how big this fish actually was. So let's get to it. And here we have it, the reconstructed blue catfish.